On August 18, 1920, Shelley Winters was born in St. Louis, Missouri, as Shirley Scrift. Her family relocated to Brooklyn, New York, when she was a young girl, and she grew up there. The fact that her mother was a singer and her father was a tailor may have predicted Shelley's eventual fusion of glitz and roughness. She was resolved to break free from the constraints of her humble upbringing from an early age. She once remarked, "I was never going to be a nice girl who waited for things to happen, or a secretary. They were going to happen because of me." Her entire life, both personally and professionally, was shaped by that resolve. In the 1930s, Winters started out as a chorus girl and model. Before making her cinematic debut in the early 1940s, she worked her way up through the stages and radio. At first, she was viewed by Hollywood as just another attractive blonde, a stereotype she was keen to avoid. Under Lee Strasberg's tutelage, she studied acting for years at the Actors Studio in New York, where she refined her technique and acquired the emotional nuance that would eventually characterize her on-screen persona. She had supporting parts in A Double Life, 1947, and What a Woman, 1943, in her early movies. However, Shelley Winters didn't start to get recognition as a serious actress who could handle challenging, nuanced roles until the 1950s. She played Alice Tripp in George Stevens' A Place in the Sun, which gave her big break in 1951. The sad bond between a working-class factory girl and the character played by Montgomery Clift exposed Shelley's unadulterated emotional intensity. She was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actress for the performance, which also changed her reputation in Hollywood. From then on, Winters was viewed as a formidable actor who could represent authentic, frequently tormented women rather than as a gorgeous starlet. Her skill was demonstrated in movies such as The Night of the Hunter, 1955, The Diary of Anne Frank, 1959, and Lolita, 1962, where she gave characters that could have otherwise been one-dimensional nuance and empathy. Winters' portrayal of the frantic Mrs. Van Dawn in The Diary of Anne Frank, which was brimming with anxious energy and sad sensitivity, earned her her first Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. Her portrayal of the cruel, racist mother of a blind kid, which earned her her second Academy Award 10 years later, in 1965, showed her unafraidness in taking on difficult and dark subjects. Shelley Winters never shied away from roles that examined social concerns or revealed human frailties over her career. She frequently selected individuals who were genuinely authentic, but not typically attractive, glamorous, or likable. She became known for her honesty, which helped her become one of the most admired character performers in movie history. In addition to her acting career, Shelley Winters was renowned for her feisty demeanor and incisive humor. She was well known for her frank, occasionally shocking remarks, and was not afraid to voice her opinions in interviews. By aging on her own terms and working well into her older years, she defied expectations in a Hollywood culture that is fixated on youth and perfection. Reinvention was a defining feature of her career. She brought the same enthusiasm and genuineness to every role, whether she was portraying a fearful passenger in The Poseidon Adventure, 1972, a brazen mother in Alfie, 1966, or making iconic TV appearances in the 1980s and 1990s. Winters was just as colorful in her private life. She had 4 marriages, including one to Vittorio Gassman, an Italian actor, with whom she had a daughter named Vittoria. The public was very interested in her love life because she was said to have dated several well-known men, such as Sean Connery and Marlon Brando. But beyond the tabloid headlines lay a deeply intelligent and compassionate lady. She was involved in politics, supporting social justice, feminism, and civil rights long before they were popular in Hollywood. A fascinating look into her unvarnished thoughts on fame, love, and the difficulties experienced by women in the entertainment industry was provided by her 2 autobiographies, Shelley, also known as Shirley, 1980, and Shelley II, The Middle of My Century, 1989. With a string of marriages that demonstrated her passionate and frequently impetuous personality, Shelley Winters' personal life was as vibrant and exciting as her lengthy and diverse acting career. In the glamorous but turbulent world of Hollywood, her marriages each revealed a distinct tale about her personality, her desire for stability, her fiery independence, and her never-ending search for a meaningful relationship. Early in her career, When she was still establishing herself in the entertainment business, she married Paul Mayer for the first time in 1943. Their union occurred during the tumult of World War II, and Mayer was a captain in the U.S. Army. As a young woman attempting to strike a balance between ambition and mental stability, Shelley desperately craved security and normalcy, which this marriage provided. But the strain of being apart throughout the war and her developing Hollywood ambitions started to drive a wedge between them. While Mayer was absent for extended periods of time due to his military duties, Shelley was advancing quickly in her career, going to auditions and immersing herself in the world of acting. The marriage terminated in divorce in 1948 because the emotional burden became too great. Despite their short-lived relationship, Shelley frequently expressed appreciation for Mayer and acknowledged that their marriage had been a teaching moment that influenced her views on commitment and love. In 1952, Shelley married Vittorio Gassman, a well-known Italian actor, for the second time. They had an immediate creative and emotional connection while working together on stage, which sparked their whirlwind romance. Gassman was already well known in European cinema due to his impressive appearance and experience in traditional theater, and Shelley was enthralled by his knowledge and artistic passion. Together, the two performers gave birth to Vittorio Gassman in 1953, who became the focal point of Shelley's universe. However, there were professional rivalries and cultural conflicts throughout the marriage. Vittorio's conservative Italian temperament frequently clashed with Shelley's outspoken American nature. Both were independent artists with demanding jobs that often separated them. Their divorce in 1954, only 2 years after their wedding, was the result of the tension between Hollywood and Rome, as well as their ferocious tempers. She continued to be proud of her daughter despite the heartache, and she frequently cited her as one of her finest achievements. When Shelley married actor Anthony Franciosa in 1957, one of Hollywood's most promising young stars at the time, it was her third marriage. Franciosa has talent, charm, and good looks. At first glance, the couple appeared to be a wonderful match, two driven performers with extensive industry involvement. Attending glitzy parties and making appearances in gossip columns, they soon rose to prominence as one of Hollywood's most talked-about couples. However, beneath the glitzy exterior, their relationship was characterized by emotional upheaval. Anthony and Shelley both had strong personalities and erratic tempers that often led to arguments. Shelley, who had battled for her position in Hollywood, grappled with the imbalance as Franciosa's fame started to eclipse hers. Their disagreements frequently made news in tabloids. The marriage lasted only 3 years before ending in 1960. However, for years to come, Shelley and Anthony would continue to be in each other's professional circles. Later, Shelley acknowledged that their mutual enthusiasm was both their greatest tie and their downfall, reflecting that their relationship had been too much fire and not enough peace. In 2006, only months before she passed away, Shelley married her lifelong friend Jerry DeFord in her final and most unexpected marriage. Her previous marriages were very different from this one, which was characterized more by profound camaraderie and affection between the two people than by the turbulent passion of youth. When her health started to deteriorate in her latter years, Jerry was a dependable and devoted companion who had been by her side for almost 20 years. Away from the dazzling lights of Hollywood, the two lived in silence, and the tranquility that Shelley had longed for all her life was represented in their love. In a final act of love and appreciation for the guy who had supported her during her last chapter, their marriage was formally acknowledged just before she died. The friendship between Marilyn Monroe and Shelley Winters has been the focus of myth, conjecture, and curiosity for many years. Although both ladies gained notoriety during the golden age of Hollywood, their relationship extended well beyond casting calls and red carpets. Known for her directness and bravery, Shelley Winters finally opened up about what it was truly like to live in the same apartment as and be friends with one of the most well-known women in the world. Winters didn't hold back in her subsequent autobiographies and interviews. Marilyn wasn't a moron. She challenged the stigma that has long surrounded Monroe by revealing that she played the dumb blonde because that's what Hollywood wanted her to be. Beyond the breathy voice and glittering image, Marilyn was one of the most sensitive and intelligent women I ever knew, Shelley explained. In the late 1940s, when they shared a room, Winters and Monroe were both struggling actresses attempting to establish themselves in a field that frequently viewed women as expendable. They lived together in a small, dilapidated apartment with only a hot plate and a common desire, Shelley remembered. "We had ambition, but we didn't have much money," she remarked. Marilyn would read plays, practice lines, and discuss what it meant to be an actor in real life while staying up late. Marilyn, according to Winters, had a keen curiosity, always reading about philosophy, art, and psychology. According to Shelley, people believed she was solely interested in fame and lipstick. In actuality, though, she wished to comprehend others. She was a really strong performer because of this. Their bond wasn't always simple. They were both intense, stubborn, and enthusiastic about what they did. Shelley acknowledged that she and Marilyn did not always get along. She said, "We were like sisters. Despite our love for one another, we were fierce rivals." Winters recalled Marilyn's tendency toward insecurity and vulnerability, particularly when men treated her like a fantasy. Shelley described her as being vulnerable, as if she were composed of glass. She had this amazing strength that would astonish you, but you still wanted to protect her. Winters loved that mix of fire and tenderness, and frequently asserted that Marilyn's paradoxes were what gave her power. Their lives took quite different turns in the 1950s when Monroe's celebrity skyrocketed. Monroe became a global icon of tragedy and beauty, while Winters rose to prominence as a dramatic actor and won 2 Academy Awards. Shelley consistently stood up for her longtime buddy against detractors, even though their paths diverged. Winters claimed that others had painted her as a fool of some sort. Marilyn, however, knew Hollywood better than anybody. She simply wasn't always able to defend herself against it. Monroe's generosity, in Shelley's opinion, was both her greatest strength and her greatest weakness. She complained that she trusted people too easily. That's risky in this business. Winters continued to be open about the more sinister aspects of Monroe's story as the years went by. She disclosed that Marilyn had talked about loneliness a lot, the need to preserve her reputation. "I don't want to be a joke, Shelley," she once told me. "Being a great actress is what I aspire to." She meant it, too. Long after Monroe's tragic death in 1962, Winters was plagued by that confession. Even as Marilyn's fame increased, Shelley claimed to be able to detect the anguish behind her smile. She thought that even though she was surrounded by people, she was constantly by herself. She was adored in Hollywood. However, it also ruined her. Shelley's decision to speak candidly about Monroe was not motivated by rumors or self-aggrandizement. It was done with love and honesty. She said, "I wanted people to know who she really was. Not the myth, not the blonde bombshell, but the woman who dreamed of being taken seriously, who cried when people made fun of her, and who spent the entire night practicing lines." Winters maintained that because people couldn't go past Marilyn's attractiveness, her genius was frequently disregarded. "I believe she would have become one of the greatest actresses of our time if she had lived longer," Shelley stated quietly. Ultimately, the reflections of Shelley Winters depict Marilyn Monroe in a way that is both tragic and tender. She recalled her as a contrasted woman, reticent yet alluring, ambitious but insecure, misinterpreted but remembered. In one of her last interviews, Shelley said that Marilyn was real. She wasn't just a dream. She had a heart that shattered too readily and was a real person. Winters' remarks reveal Monroe's compassion beneath the glitz and rumors that have long tarnished her reputation. That might be Shelley's best present to her friends. A reminder that a woman who just wanted to be accepted and loved for who she really was hiding behind the legend. Winters passed away from heart failure in the Beverly Hills Rehabilitation Center on January 14, 2006, at the age of 85. Her heart attack occurred on October 14, 2005. In Culver City, California, she is buried at Hillside Memorial Park Cemetery.